Good evening all. My name's Thomas-Lee Callanan and I'm here today hosting the EQR webinar. This is the first of a series and it is the horses, heart and stories behind racing silks. Great to see a lot of you joined us today. We have some very special guest speakers today. We have Craig Benton, who is sitting beside me. We also have Tracey Cole. We have Georgia Dobie and we have Bonnie Corfield-Rowe. First of all, I'm going to pass you on to Craig to introduce himself and do a little bit of talk about the team at Equestrian Infinity.
Hi, everybody. Craig Benton speaking. We started Equestrian Infinity a couple of years back. It was started by a lady called Laura Richardson, who did all the developing and built the yard to the standard it is now. She moved on and I took over, and we started off with buying and selling horses to Hong Kong for the riding schools, and then we started with the retraining and our racing yard that's developed over the last year. We've got a young team. All our staff are the people that are very enthusiastic, which helps a lot. It helps us achieve the goals that we're looking for and what we're looking at. And we have an amazing jockey, Georgia Dobie, that knows our horses backwards and never puts a foot wrong, and she's fantastic. So we really and truly have a young, vibrant, developing team to build this place. So it'll go for years after I'm no longer around, and Dennis and Ella will have continuity and build a team that can keep the place going.
Fantastic. Thank you, Craig. As you will all see from the chat, we have actually posted a link to a quick survey just to get a feel as to what involvement everybody has had previously within horse racing. So we've also put it up on the screen as well. If you'd like to go on to the QR code, you can then start completing that. Just gives us an understanding as to who we have in the group, what involvement and what knowledge you have of horse racing. What we are also going to do today is we are also going to allow you to ask any questions in the chat, and they will either be picked up throughout the webinar, or if we feel that it's better, then we will pick them up as a Q&A session at the end. So whilst we allow you all to fill in the survey, if I pass you on to Bonnie Corfield-Rowe, who is assistant trainer at Equestrian Infinity, can you just give us an overview as to your day at Equestrian Infinity?
Well, I get up, I come in and ride out every day. So I'll come in and ride 2 or 3 lots every morning and just help make sure that the horses are fit and ready for the races.
We also have with us today Tracey Cole, who is master trainer, who I believe is going to give us a bit of a talk about the work that she does.
Hello, I'm a master trainer of NLP, I should say, not a master trainer of racehorsing. So I help equestrians and riders with their mindset, and that can be with their business mindset, with their mindset for riding, mindset for anything to do with life, in fact. And I help them and I train them in neuro-linguistic programming, which is a mindset technique, or hypnotherapy, or timeline therapy.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, we also are delighted to have on with us today Georgia Dobie, who rides all of the horses for Equestrian Infinity.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah.
We can hear you perfectly fine. Thank you, Georgia.
Hi, everybody. I'm Georgia Dobie. I ride Craig's horses. Been riding for him just over a year now, and together we've had a lot of success, and yeah, hopefully more to come in the future.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Georgia. So I know we've had a few questions come in to us in advance of today's webinar. So first of all, I'm going to go across to Craig Benton. So Craig, you've trained racehorses across South Africa, Hong Kong, United States of America, and now the UK. How have different racing cultures shaped your approach to welfare and performance?
You know, wherever you go in the world, racing is completely different. It's not that people train horses differently. I think that the basis of getting a horse fit is the same anywhere, but it's different surfaces, it's different tracks, tight tracks, small tracks, round tracks, long tracks, left and right tracks. So racing around the world is very different, and it just opens your mind to see different ways of racing horses. From the welfare side, the welfare in the world is something that's pretty new. When I say pretty new, it's probably only been going in the last 10 years. It's become something that's been pushed by the bodies that run racing, for people to see that there is a second chance with horses. There is another life for them, and it's really become a huge part of racing, to give them another chance and give them the opportunities that they can have. Hong Kong Jockey Club has really been the forefront of this, and they really led the world in doing the right thing for horses. In the past, horses were just forgotten, and you know, there's some horror stories that you hear about horses, but today it's not like that. It's very much regulated and followed, and people that have reschooling homes or reschooling yards have to follow guidelines to make sure that the horses are given every bit of care and opportunity to develop into another area of the equestrian sports world.
Okay, I've seen a question now has come through from Di Larchfield, and that is, Craig, how does working with a smaller welfare-focused operation like Equestrian Affinity differ from a more traditional, bigger racing yard?
You know, bigger is not always better, but bigger is more productive, and obviously people can earn more money in a bigger yard. Being in a small yard, we're so hands-on. Everyone is on top of everything. There's nothing that we don't miss, that we miss. We don't neglect anything. We all talk to each other, and we make sure that everything is done 110%. I'm not saying that doesn't happen in a big yard. Of course it does. But you've got more people working for you. There's more relying on other people to follow the things that you would like to do, and they do get done. But there are sometimes things that are missed or slipped, and something can happen. But you know, whether it's a small yard or a big yard, if you've got the passion for doing the racing and rehoming, you'll always make sure that it works.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Craig. So one of the other questions we've had come in is, what is one story from the Lion stables that captures what makes Equestrian Affinity unique?
I suppose when we started, it was very new to us, not the racing side, because I've been in racing all my life. I followed my dad's footsteps. He was a jockey and a trainer before me, and I've just followed in his footsteps. So from the racing side, it wasn't new to me. But from the rehoming side, even though as a younger boy, I did show jumping and eventing and dressage and things like that. It was something that we had to get a head around. It was finding out how the markets worked in the UK, when it's the best time to sell horses, and things like that. So it really was, from that point of view, it was difficult and a new thing to do. But I do honestly think the biggest thrill I've had here at EQR is meeting Georgia and her riding Bolt Suitor for the first time a year ago at Kenton and running fifth. And she was unlucky that we were beaten a long way to run fifth, but she was unlucky. She wrote her instructions perfectly, and the horse just fell back on her turning for home, and it just messed our plans up. But that was just the stepping stone to where we are today. To take a horse like him, who's an 8-year-old who had been retired from Hong Kong as non-competitive, And this year alone, 14 runs and 12 times in the money with wins and places. It's been phenomenal what we've been able to manage with, and it's not me, it's a team effort. It's Georgia, it's the staff that work in the stables, under my guidance, and with Bonnie riding track work. It's just been a phenomenal year, that we've taken these older horses and kept them racing, and they've been winning.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Craig. I've now just seen a question come through from Kate Thomas. Question for Bonnie or Craig. So I'm going to direct this one to Bonnie. How can you tell that a horse is truly relaxed and thriving? What are the signs you look for?
I just look for horses to be really settled and really happy. Obviously, if they're firing, they're in really good condition. They feel really well on the gallops. But yeah, I just mainly look for them to be nice and relaxed and happy at home.
One of the things I've noticed for myself from numerous visits now down to the Lion stables, is you have a really good setup down here with your paddocks, and you do like to turn the horses out. Can you tell us how that benefits the horses, either yourself or Craig?
I think it's amazing for the horses. You know, to be cooped up in a box for 23 hours a day, they're not logical thinkers like humans are, and the boredom is just incredible. So to be able to put them out in a paddock for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, and just let them have a different way of dealing with the day. It's their natural habitat, being able to put their heads down and eat grass. It does them so much good. They do change, and they, like I've said with the older horses, it just brings another year or two out of them that they would have lost if they hadn't had that opportunity.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I think we have just got another comment through from Stephanie Swallow. I love thoroughbreds and really enjoy national hunt and flat racing. I was a 5-star event rider in a previous life and loved riding and competing thoroughbreds whenever I had the opportunity. I'm really interested to be here. Thank you, and would love to learn the critical welfare of these fabulous racehorses once their careers are finished, retired and or rehomed. I found it really hard watching and assisting my mentor, who was judging the ROR at Blenheim a few years ago. 100% looked in fabulous condition, but the same couldn't be said for their soundness, and they were frequently ridden by 2 heavy riders. Found it really hard viewing. What can we do, or hopefully am I out of date?
Every yard is different, but what our policy is not just selling a horse to the first person that comes along. They can have a bag full of money, and we just, it's gut feeling. You know, we put them on the horses, we take them out into the school, we see what they can do, how they gel with the horse. And there's been many a time we've said, no, you're not the right person for this horse. We might offer them another horse in the yard that we think would be more suited to them, but that it's finding the right person for your horse, and not someone that's too heavy or too small or doesn't suit the horse. You've got to get the right person. It's a partnership. It's got to work. And secondly, you have to be honest about a horse's racing. What's happened to it through its racing career? You know, whether it's had joint issues or had a strained tendon or had a back problem, you've got to tell the person that's buying the horse from you what everything about that horse, because again, it's going to come back to you, and people are going to be carrying on riding these horses that aren't sound, and it is sad to see that. So it's honesty, number one, and number two, pairing up a horse with the right person.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to go over to Tracey as Master Trainer in NLP. So this question has been asked by Arla. Dr. Tracey Cole, what needs to change in the mindset of racing to make welfare the top priority?
I think that it needs to be front and centre, first of all, not an afterthought. I think it's about being very proactive rather than reactive, and creating those systems on the yard before any problems arise, where you've got to then go back and look at welfare or look at the management of the horses. And I think Equestrian R Infinity is really innovative because they're right there at the forefront of doing this, because they're putting the welfare decisions first, not as an afterthought to winning, and that's their unique selling point. And I think more has to be done with other yards in the same vein.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Tracy. I have a further question for you. How can horse lovers change their mindset about racing?
Well, I think it's about looking at yards that do things differently, just like Equestrian R Affinity. Because when I mean, you'll know this, Thomas, and everybody who works at Equestrian R Infinity will know this as well. But when you go there, you just kind of decompress. It's a very different kind of atmosphere than you might think of a racing yard. You just kind of, it's so calm. It's a lovely place to be, and it's knowing that these types of yards exist. And when you know that there's the empathy, there's the trust, there's the love of the horses, and that's, you know, throughout racing. That's not unique, but it's there at the core. And I think that when you know that welfare's in place, that you can start to enjoy watching the horses, because you know that their well-being has been really catered for.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'm just trying to keep up to date with the questions being asked. So thank you everyone for asking questions. We now have another one for Dr. Tracey Cole. How can we bridge the gap between race fans and welfare advocates?
I think something like, you know, again, what we're doing here now, being totally transparent about the yard and how the horses are kept, and you mentioned the turnout, which is not necessarily the usual thing on every single racing yard. I think it's through the storytelling. I think the people who work on the yard have got some fantastic stories about all the individual horses and the race days and the wins and the near wins and that kind of thing. And I think once people hear those stories and they get used to something like Equestrian R Affinity and their innovative way of doing things, then we build that connection, don't we? We bridge that gap between what people think of as a racing yard and what's actually happening on this yard.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Dr. Tracey Cole. I've now got a question here from Ian Bark. Georgia, do you prefer to ride horses you're connected with, like at Craig's Yard, or do you prefer when you just get a call to ride for other yards?
Obviously, yeah, you know, I'm always going to say I prefer to ride for Craig. It's great. I've, you know, built up a good relationship over the last year and a half. I know the horses very well. I've gone in and galloped them or given them barrier trials. So yeah, it almost means a bit more when one of them can go and win. But yeah, you know, I've been with Craig's yard for about a year and a half, and it's been brilliant, you know, to ride winners for him. And like they say, you know, the horses are all cared for, you know, amazingly. They've got top class facilities there, and you know, it's even more special when we get a winner on the good days.
Perfect. And I understand from obviously speaking with yourself and speaking with everyone down at the yard, it is appreciated when you can have a jockey that will ride out consistently, whether it comes down to the yard or whether it's actually racing on a race day, because you get a feel for the horse gets a feel for you. And it just makes that experience of both rider and for the horse so much better.
Yeah, I think obviously Craig's been extremely loyal to me over the last year and a half. You know, there's not always so much loyalty in racing, so you know, I really appreciate it. But yeah, I'd like to think, you know, I sort of know the horses really well, and it's been brilliant. You know, from the start, you know, the likes of Bold Suitor, you know, when I first sat on him and he ran well, and you know, I think I've won 4 on him now. maybe more actually. And yeah, you know, River Arwen, he's been great as well. Twitch, you know, there's been some. It's been great to get on these lovely horses.
Brilliant. In actual fact, we actually had a really good race day down at Lingfield the other day, where you rode Nebula Stars, first race in 563 days, I believe, and finished a tremendous third. That was a fantastic day. Everyone that was down at the racetrack at Lingfield on that day had a superb day. And it was good to see a horse that has been come to England with not the greatest of form, had so much time out of the yard, out of racing. It's come back, and it just shows the hard work of the team that they managed to get a third place with Nebula.
Definitely, yeah, it's credit to Craig and all his team, you know, having a horse that is, you know, nearly won, having that much time off layoff, you know, and he was happy and fresh and well, and yeah, you know, I think he's going to have a good bit of fun with him over the winter. You know, he seemed to go around Lingfield fine. You know, there's various different all-weather tracks to go on now. The turf season stopped, so yeah, hopefully he'll be a bit of fun over the winter.
Perfect. Now I'm just trying to keep up to date with the chat and so many questions. I've actually got some really positive feedback which I'd like to read out from a Claire Hood, sorry. As the fortunate recipient of one of Craig's horses in April this year, I was so impressed with Craig and the team's honesty and real desire to see the home is right for their horse. I currently have 3 ex-racers and I've had 2 others in the past. They're all different and individuals which Craig and the team fully understand. Their willingness to take the time with the horses after racing before they move on really benefits the horses and their new owners. Which is just fantastic testimony to the team and the hard work that the team do put into the horses down here. So thanks so much for sharing that with us. Perfect, thank you very much. One of the things I want to go on to now is there is a brilliant opportunity to get involved in Craig Benton's yard, and that is with the new syndicate that has started. Would you like to tell us more about your syndicate, Craig?
Currently, we've got 2 horses that we've syndicated. Obviously, there's a lot of shares still available. They're both 3-year-olds. One's Dreamcrafter and one's Luzon Prince. We've got a nice bunch of people that are really involved in the 2 of them. Both are having a break over the winter. Hopefully, that's going to help them mature and grow into nice horses. I've really seen a difference in both the horses from their breaks. We have Apple's Angel. That is fully subscribed. It's the Lounge Lady Syndicate, and it's a whole lot of ladies that are involved in Apple's Angel. That she's a filly, so it's very apt for them to be involved with her. We're looking at starting a racing club at a lower end of the scale. It gives you more chance to start racing at less of an outlay. So we have got a couple of horses that we're really looking forward to putting up for the racing club. One is Nebula Stars, who ran 3rd the other day. He's an absolute horse waiting to win. It'll be a lovely syndicate to join. And we've got a very nice unraced 3-year-old called DuPont Circle. He's by no never. He's very well bred. He's had his problems, and we bought him a year ago. I haven't rushed him. He's taken a bit of time, but he's come to hand nicely. So those are the 2 other horses we've got for racing club syndicates. So we slowly developing our client base, and the more people we get involved, the more horses we can get. The bigger the stable gets, the more chance we have to have runners and winners. More chance for us and for Georgia and the whole team. So that's what the whole vision is to build up our racing clubs and our racing syndicates.
I'd also like to interject there, as someone who's been involved with Craig Benton, I am actually in both of the syndicate horses. We'll also be joining the racing club when that is fully launched. One of the benefits of being involved in syndicates and racing clubs is you do get involved in a smaller portion of the horse, but you get the experiences. Some of the racing experiences you get by going to racetracks, meeting trainers, meeting jockeys. I've made some extremely friends for life through racing clubs, and the day out of races is probably one of the best experiences I think I've actually ever had. So it's definitely something, if it's something that you are interested in, I definitely recommend asking to come down to the yard, see the horses for yourself, get a feel for the team, and see if it's something you're interested in. As Craig's explained, we have got the two options at the moment. They have the option of the syndicate, which you own a bigger portion of the horse, and you also get your percentage of what you own in a horse back with any prize money. But then you've got the lower rate membership, which is the racing club membership. So although with the racing clubs, you don't actually get a portion of any winnings, you still get the days out at the races. And it is a fraction of the price compared to a syndicate. I would definitely recommend having a look into these options, speaking to the team and seeing if it's something you would be interested in. One of the things we also wanted to speak about now, and is something that is highlighted through some social media at the moment, is that horse racing is all about gambling. You don't have to be a gambler or want to gamble to get involved in horse racing. Yes, horse racing does have gambling within it, and some people do choose to gamble. And if you are going to gamble, we would say gamble responsibly. But you don't have to be a gambler to want to get involved in horse racing. This is an extremely beautiful sport. They are athletes, just like humans, just like your Usain Bolts. They enjoy what they do, and people enjoy watching them do what they do. So I believe we've got a few more questions that are coming. One from Alison Sanford Gent, which says, how do you help the horses if they show signs of distress? I will allocate that one to you, Craig.
A horse will show you very quickly if he's not enjoying what he's doing. And it's up to you to act on it straight away and change his routine, have a look at it, see what the problem is. He might have a wolf teeth coming through, he might have a sore foot, he might be starting to throw a joint. There's loads of different things that can happen to a horse to make a horse go sour and or be stressed. And it's knowing your horses backwards. And if you're on top of your game, you'll pick it up very quickly. And 9 times out of 10, either changing his routine, changing his work pattern, fixing the problems that you can find. If you're not sure, the best thing to do is get your vet to come and have a look. He's always going to pick up something that you can't see. He's got machinery, he's got scans, he's got x-rays that will obviously help him more. And it's just getting to the bottom of the problem. As soon as you get to the bottom of the problem, as I say, if it takes 6 months to get it right and it's going to be positive, well, then you got to take the time. There's no better healer than time, and that will normally, hopefully, solve the problem with the horse.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So we've got quite a few questions coming through now. So I'm going to put this one through to Craig also. What makes your club or syndicate actually ethical?
Because we're honest. We've got a great team. To have the privilege of a jockey that I can just phone her agent and say, Nikki, I'm going to enter this horse or these horses next week. It's Georgia available, and I don't run my horses if Georgia can't ride them. So it's fantastic having that. It's fantastic having the team at home. I've got so much faith in Bonnie and her feedback when she rides track work. She's just got a really, really good feel on horses, and she can say to me, Craig, this horse just felt flat today, and I absolutely I believe it, because she won't just say it for the sake of saying it. It's Amelia in the yard. It's Amy, who's my physio as well. It's Charlie doing the leading the rehoming side. It's being able to rely on those people to give me feedback, which makes our yard so different to every other yard.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Craig. Now a question that's actually been asked of me. Thomas, what have you learned about how people emotionally connect to their horses, even if they own only a small share? When you do get involved in the horses, you do get to, from communications with the yard, with Craig, with his team, with going to see them in yard visits, with going to the racetrack, you do build a bond with these horses. You may only own a small share of them, but you enjoy seeing them enjoy themselves. You enjoy seeing them going out there, whether it be on the track work, whether it be down in Epsom on the gallops. And I'm involved in quite a few horses now, and you do become to love every single one of them. It's like having a pet, apart from you don't actually have them at home yourself. And just seeing them enjoy themselves. I'm down here today. I've gone and spoke to a few of the horses that obviously I'm involved with, giving them a stroke, had a little chat with them. So it is an extremely enjoyable sport. We've got another question for Tracey and Craig. What balance do you have of the rider versus horse wellness needs? I.e., do riders take care of themselves physically and mentally as much as we expect the horses to be tip top?
Absolutely. Jockeys are the most phenomenal athletes. They are so super fit. It's a different. You can't even compare being a jockey to any other sport. I mean, there's fantastic sportsmen in every field of sport, but for a jockey to be able to have to ride an unpredictable animal, it's not just you on your own or a rugby player tackling someone else. It's you and 12 or whatever amount of horses in the race around you. You've got to be so aware of what they're doing and what you need to do to be able to ride that race, and the fitness to be able to, whether it's a 1.5 mile race or a 5 furlong race, you've got to be so super fit mentally and physically to be able to ride that race. And jockeys to me are the most amazing athletes that you'll ever have.
If we now go over to Georgia, the question I have for you is, can you tell us about a horse that taught you something unexpected?
Well, I think being a jockey, you learn something new every single day. You never stop learning. You're always learning on the job. Sort of coming from Craig's yard point of view, probably say Bold Suit has probably taught me the most, really. Not really unexpectedly, but when I first started riding him, he's a very strong horse, and he took a bit of riding, really. He likes to make the running in races, so it was important that he always had good gate speed. He'd won from being drawn wide as well. So yeah, I'd say probably out of all the horses that I've ridden for Craig, probably Bold Suit has probably taught me the most, really.
Thanks so much, Georgia. And on that, I think I'm going to ask Craig to give us a bit of an idea on Bold Suitor and how Bold Suitor came about at the yard, and the successes they've had with Bold Suitor. Craig?
He had before he was an English bred horse, and Ed Walker had him before he went to Hong Kong, and he won 3 in a row on the all-weather tracks, and he was sold for a lot of money to Hong Kong, really huge money, and he never really clicked in Hong Kong. He just wasn't suited to that style of racing. As George has just said a few moments ago, he's a horse that likes to dictate and go to the front. But the pace of racing in Hong Kong is so fast, he couldn't get to the front in Hong Kong. And he didn't enjoy it. He ended up winning one race. I think he had 32 starts and he won one race. And he just never got into the groove of Hong Kong racing. And they eventually retired him because he was he wasn't competitive. He came to us, and he really had a bad start with us. I mean, he was pulled up in his first race. In the second race, the jockey thought he had bled. We scoped him straight off the race. He hadn't, and he really he struggled to get into a rhythm to race here. But I've got to say, I think from the time Georgia got on him the first time and he ran fit, there was one day that I can't remember the reason that Georgia didn't ride him and he was unplaced. But he's had 30 runs with us over 2 years, and 25 times, that's including fifth places, because there's a small payout on a fifth place. 25 times he's returned money to the stable, and it's amazing. He's been so unlucky at times, being beaten short heads and things like that. He's just done phenomenally well, and he loves our style. He's a big, huge horse, very intimidating, but he's an absolute softie I mean, you know, as soon as you pull his tongue, he'll just, you can do anything to him. And he just fits it in here so well. I know I ride him every day because he can be difficult. He can be quirky. Not saying no one else can ride him, but I've just got to know him. And him and I have clicked as a track work rider and horse. And he's fantastic. He's done fantastically well. And I did have visions of retiring him. I just watched him in the paddock, and that he's so full of life for an old horse. I suppose look at him and myself, but we just keep going. You know, we're not in a rush to over race our horses. Our horses, we do have younger horses, but the majority of our horses have come to us with issues. So it's actually planning the races for them. I know towards the end of last year, I did run a couple of horses very close, and it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I did do it with Bold Suitor this year. But on the whole, you've got to give them time to recover. I've been a marathon runner in my life, and I know how important recovery time is. You know, and I can talk to someone and tell someone and wake up in the morning and say to my wife, oh, I don't feel like training today. I just don't feel right. A horse can't tell you that. So you've got to know your horse. You've got to understand yours, and you've got to give him the time to recover from a race so that he can go into his next race fresh. You don't want him going in flat or not having recovered from a race, and then he's disappointing and he starts to be, getting in and out of form. So you've got to be able to give them that time, give them the recovery they need, the correct work to build them up to the next race, and then hopefully they carry on with their form.
So going along those same lines, obviously you've got a horse at the yard called River Alwyn, which you raced for quite some time. He's now retired. How's his retirement going?
You know, it's sadly his age is what retired him. He started getting a wind gall, which is not a serious issue, but it is something where the ligaments are starting to show wear and tear. If he was a younger horse, we could have given him 6 months off and brought him back, and he would have been fine. But as a 7-year-old rising 8, if we brought him back towards the back end of his 8-year-old career, having to get him fit again and things like that, it wouldn't have been fair on him. He had 8 runs for us this year, and he finished in the first 4 every time. So, you know, he deserved to have the break. We gave him 3 months off. We obviously scanned it before we retired him. We scanned him the other day after 3 months. It's healed fantastically well. So we've got him back lunging. There's a lovely lady, Alex, that's dead set on taking him home. So we're going to get him going and get him ready for her so that she's got a horse for the rest of her life to enjoy.
Fantastic. And we've also been asked about Twitch, the yard's first winner. Does that tell us a bit more about Twitch?
I think you should ask Bonnie about Twitch.
Bonnie, would you like to tell us a bit more about Twitch?
Twitch, I just love him. He when he first came over, he was quite a weak horse. Quite a few people didn't really see much in him, but I could just feel something on the gallop. But yeah, no, he's been brilliant for us. He was our first winner, and yeah, he just keeps coming back stronger. He's not placed for us this year, but yeah, he's away on holiday at the moment and will be coming back again next season. But he's just, yeah, I think he should have another few good races in him.
Just on him, as a horse from Hong Kong, he wasn't retired in Hong Kong because he had any problems. He was retired because the son of the owner went to work for the Hong Kong Jockey Club, and they said it was a conflict of interest, so his father couldn't own horses anymore. So that's why he retired and came to us. But he's got a tremendous history. He was born in New Zealand. He's won in New Zealand. He's won in Hong Kong. He's won in the UK. But besides the fact that he could probably fly the aeroplane because he's flown so much, he's won on 3 different continents, which is amazing.
Fantastic. Now, I think we're actually all up to date with all the questions that have been asked. So thank you to everyone who's got involved in today's webinar and for all the questions asked. thank you so much for all of our guest speakers today as well. We've also got some testimonials we're going to put onto the screen as well, of some of the horses that have been retired and retrained by Craig Benton. So for instance, at the moment, you can see Sprout's story. Totally honest people who really look after their horses. Even to this day, they are happy to answer any questions and want to stay in touch to see what we get up to. I know where to turn to. I know where to turn to if I should ever need another in the future. We got one other testimonial, and this is the Tulane and Buddy story. The team at Equestrian Infinity is wonderful to work with, and it's clear they genuinely care for every horse there. So this is some fantastic feedback we're getting from everyone that has taken a retired and retrained horse from the Equestrian Infinity yard. Now, for me, as someone who loves horse racing, has been involved in different yards, this is one yard I would say I'm going to be involved in for many years to come. I love the fact that not only are they interested in the racing of the horses, but they also care about what happens to them after races. There are yards out there that once it comes to a horse being retired, they then send it on to another yard to do the retraining. The positive about it being kept within the yards is the horses know the team know the yard. So it makes that retraining a lot smoother for the horses, especially. And as you can see from the testimonials, they do go on to have very happy and very successful second careers. And I think that is a massive kudos and a massive well done to the team for all the work they put in down at Equestrian Infinity and the Lime Stables. So we have got, just to end, a short survey just for some feedback. We would really appreciate if you was to go onto that before you leave the chat. Just give us some feedback as how you felt today went. And if anyone has got any further words they want to say today, Craig?
I'll just add to what Thomas has said. You know, I've been very fortunate in my life. As I said earlier, being born into racing, followed my dad's footsteps, and I've worked all over the world in horse racing. And honestly, this is probably the smallest team I've had, but I've never had so much fun and enjoyment from what we do. To be unique in having the split yard, racing them, and then training them for the future. It's just such a thrill. And it's, you know, they've all got a place somewhere in the world for them to have a happy life. Their racing is in the young early years of their life. Okay, horses can run up to 9 and 10 and things like that. Majority don't, but they can live till they're 25. So I know Georgia's got a retired horse, and I see pictures of her on Facebook, and they're jumping him. He's so happy. And, you know, that's what we want our horses to be. We want our horses to go somewhere where they're going to be cared for and loved and be happy. And that's the most thrilling thing for me, being involved with Equestrian Infinity.
Thank you all for attending today, and for all your questions and participation. And we hope to see you at future webinars or future open days.